All right, guys, we're back in the lab with the nice polo. 20 more real estate questions for you guys today. I'm taking the quiz with you guys. 20 questions for me, too. I don't know the answers. This is the first time for me seeing this. I'm studying for the real estate exam with you guys. Please subscribe if you want to go on this journey with me. Enough of the intro. Let's get into the questions. All right, question one. Remember, I'm taking this with you. I've never seen these questions. Wish me luck. During a listing interview, a seller demands that the listing agent reduce the proposed commission by 1%. What is the best course of action for the agent? A. Refuse the listing as commissions are not negotiable. B. Explain that commissions are generally fixed in each locality. C. Call the broker and discuss the matter. D. Go ahead and reduce the commission. Remember, this is national plus California laws of agency. This is a tough one. I'm going to say go ahead and reduce the commission. Commissions are negotiable. There was a big lawsuit about it, but they've always been negotiable. So let's see. He negotiated down to 1%. Incorrect. Okay. C. Call the broker and discuss the matter. Question rationale. An agent should not adjust commissions without the consent of the broker. Commissions may be fixed by company policy, but are not directed by law or even local customs. They are negotiable between the company and the client. Okay, so if you're working for your broker and they don't want to take less than 3% or whatever, then you're kind of screwed. Next question. Question 2. An agency relationship can be terminated legally without recourse under which of the following circumstances? A. When the buyer dies. B. When the listing broker dies. C. When the listing salesperson dies. D. When the salesperson becomes mentally incompetent. It's when someone dies. An agency relationship can be terminated without recourse under the following, which I want to say when the buyer dies. Incorrect. When the listing broker dies. Question rationale. The listing broker is the agent of record in a listing. The listing broker is the agent of record in a listing. A listing is an employment agreement. Therefore, when an employee dies, the agreement is void. This is not the salesperson's listing. The listing belongs to the broker of record in every transaction, not to the agent. So back to the broker. They got full control of all your stuff. I'm 0 for 2, guys. Question number 3. A sales agent is selling their own personal property, the condition of which they misrepresent. The agent is sued and raises the defense that they were not acting as an agent as a sale, but rather were selling their own personal property personally. The probable outcome is the case will be dismissed for no cause of action. The sales agent will win. The sales agent will be liable. The broker will be liable. I'm going to say the sales agent will win. You could sell it. You could sell your own. This is for sale by owner. And if you are an agent, you can sell stuff. Incorrect again. Wow. C. The sales agent will be held liable. Question rationale. Sales agents are subject to the rules of professional ethics 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, whether selling property for someone else or for themselves. Agents selling their own property are not relieved of their professional or ethical responsibilities. Where does it say that they weren't professional or ethical? Okay. Question 4. A principal dies. The agent is not aware that the principal has passed away and continues to act on behalf of the principal several days past the principal's death. Which statement is true? A. The agency relationship has been revoked by the agent. B. Any contracts or representation made by the agent are void since the principal has already died. C. The agency relationship has been renounced by the agents. D. Any representations or contract entered into the agent on behalf of the principal are binding upon the principal and or the principal's estate. All right, I'm going to go with D. Correct. All right, I got a correct one. In general, principal and agency's relationship is terminated only if the agent actually knows of the seller's death. Any representations made to the agent before the agent finds out about the death are binding upon the principal and or the principal's estate. Revocation occurs when the principal revokes the agent's authority, while renunciation occurs when the agent renounces their agency duties. Neither one of these situations has occurred in this question. All right, we got one right. Question 5. An agent realizes that one of the houses in their routine farm area would be a good fit for their buyer customer. The agent gets the seller to agree to pay the broker a commission if the buyer makes an acceptable offer. What kind of agency has been created if no listing agreement was entered into? Ostensible agency by estoppel, agency by agreement, agency by ratification. I'm going to go with agency by agreement. Wait, no listing agreement. Agency. I still think it's agency by agreement. Incorrect. Agency by ratification. There was no listing agreement, so the relationship is created by the seller accepting the benefits of the relationship, also known as ratifications. Would this be like a handshake deal? All right. Question 6. What would be a violation of agency? The agent does not reveal any confidential information to either client. The agent gets the informed consent to act as a dual agent. The agent does not advocate for either buyer or seller. The agent discloses to the buyer what the seller is willing to accept. All right. A violation. The agent does not advocate for either a buyer or seller. Incorrect. What the? Why am I so off today? The agent discloses to the buyer what the seller is willing to accept. It doesn't say that they're acting as a dual agent. Question rationale. The agent, when acting as a dual agent, may not advocate on behalf of either buyer or seller, nor disclose information that gives one party an advantage of the other party. Okay, can I downvote? I don't like that one. Question 7. A competent and disinterested person who is authorized to act in another's place is called a agent, attorney in fact, dual agent, broker. Competent and disinterested person who is authorized, I'm going to say an agent. It might be an attorney in fact, but you're not an attorney. Okay, I'm off. An attorney in fact is not an attorney at law. An attorney in fact has been given the power to act for someone else. Okay. Question 8. When two brokers are working with the same buyer, which broker will have earned the commission? Listing broker. Second broker to make contact with the buyer. Broker of procuring cause. First broker to make contact with the buyer. When two brokers are working with the same buyer, which broker will have earned the commission? I think the listing broker. Incorrect. Broker of procuring cause. When two brokers are working with the same buyer and neither knows of the other's involvement, the broker that presents the accepted offer to seller is the procuring cause, thus earning the commission. Question number 9. Death of the broker or principal, or incapacity, insanity, or bankruptcy of the principal are always agency can be terminated by A, operation of law, B, full performance, C, acts of the parties, D, expiration of its term. Death, incapacity, insanity, bankruptcy. I'm going to go with operation of law. Correct. All right. In the event of death, incapacity, insanity, or bankruptcy, the agency relationship ends by the operation of law. Question 10. Halfway there, guys. If you guys want to follow along and use this program that we're using, there's a link below to Colibri. This is the same website and the same software that I use to pass my 3 courses and that I'm currently using, obviously, to study with the exam prep for the California real estate exam. Follow along. Click the link. Check it out. Number 10, when an agent does not disclose that they are representing the seller in an ad, the agent may be guilty of which of the following? An agent does not disclose they are representing blind advertising, deceptive advertising, permissible advertising, false advertising. I'm going to go with false advertising. Incorrect. Blind advertising. California real estate laws call the non-disclosure by an agent in an ad blind advertising. There's a lot of weird advertising rules that we should learn. We'll get there. Question 11. X lists a property. X finds a buyer. Is X allowed to write an offer as a buyer's representative? No, it's against federal trade laws. Yes, as long as both parties agree to it in writing. Yes, if it is specifically written in the offer. No, an agent cannot collect both commissions. I think it's a yes as long as both parties agree to it in writing. Dual agency is fine. So it's yes. It's one of these though. Correct. Question rationale. Informed consent is required in order to have disclosed dual agency. So yes, as long as both parties agree to it in writing, you can represent the seller and the buyer. Question 12. Which of the following is the best example of a special agent? Property manager, universal power of attorney, limited agent, real estate licensee. Special agent. Limited agent or real estate licensee? I'm going to go with limited agent. Incorrect. Real estate licensee. By definition, a special agent is one who has very limited authority and may do the only thing for the principal, i.e. find a ready, willing, and only may do only one thing for the principal. Find a ready, willing, and able buyer. A universal agent may do anything for the principal, and a general agent is an agent who may do anything in one particular area. A property manager. There's no such thing as a limited agent. Okay, the one thing that I picked was there's no such thing as that. Nice. Question 13. While at an open house, a listing agent encounters an unrepresented buyer. The agent is asked by the buyer to prepare an offer to purchase. At the meeting to prepare the offer, the agent tells the buyer, I'm sure I can get the seller to agree to this price and get the financing you need. What has the listing agent just done? May have created an implied agency, made the seller very happy, has done nothing inappropriate, is being a good fiduciary to the client. I'm going to say may have created an implied agency. Correct. Agents must be careful about what they say to customers. If an agent appears to be the agent of the buyer as well as the seller, they may become a dual agent. A month after taking a listing, the listing agent... Question 14. A month after taking a listing, the listing agent decides that they want to make an offer to purchase the listing. What special agency disclosure is required? That the listing agent will now be a dual agent. No additional disclosure is required. That the agent will continue to represent the seller. That the seller is no longer represented and should seek representation. A month after taking a listing, the listing agent decides they want to make an offer to purchase the listing. I mean, that would be a dual agent, right? No additional disclosure. The seller is no longer represented and should seek. If you buy it yourself, do you like waive your right to be the seller's representation? I'm just gonna say dual agent. Yes, okay, that kind of makes sense. When a listing agent takes a listing, they agree to represent the seller. When the agent decides to buy the listing, they no longer represent the seller and must disclose this to the seller and suggest that the seller obtain representation or represent themselves. So you can't represent the seller while you're trying to buy the seller's property. That makes sense. Question 15. A licensed real estate salesperson is permitted by law to represent one or more brokers. They're sponsoring broker only, themselves as a broker, any interested party. I want to say they're sponsoring broker only. You hang your license? Correct. A licensed real estate salesperson works for their broker only and acts on behalf of their broker as a sub-agent to the buyer or seller. The salesperson responsibility and authority come only from their broker. I got one right, guys. Question 16. While a listing agent is showing some rental property, it becomes clear that the buyers are about to disclose a confidentiality. They recently won a large settlement in a personal injury case and have unlimited funds to spend on. The agent is a dual agent, so it's okay if the buyer tells the agent this information. Should tell the buyers before showing the property not to disclose any confidentiality. Owes no duty to disclose the buyer's relating relationship between the agent and seller. Is a buyer's agent and will keep the buyers confidential. I think it's obviously B or C, right? Should tell the buyers before showing the property not disclose. I think they should do that. Correct. As the buyers are about to tell the sales agent of a confidentiality, the agent should tell the buyers before any home shown that the agent represents the seller and that all confidentialities disclosed to the agent will be told to the seller. In this question, the agent is the listing agent and thus is neither a dual agent nor an agent of the buyer. Simply showing a buyer house does not make one an agent of the buyer. All right, number 17, we're almost there. What event does not terminate or dissolve an agency? Death of a listing agent, not broker. Full performance, expiration of the term, destruction of listed property. I think we went over this. If it's the death of a broker, I think it's... Oh, no, this terminates it because you have a contract with the broker. Full performance, expiration. Full performance does not. Let's go with that. Oh, so I had it right. Since the broker owns a listing, only the death of the listing broker, not the listing agent, would terminate the listing. So death of a listing agent. Okay. If it's the death of a broker, it will terminate it. But the death of a listing agent, it will not terminate it. Question 18. A buyer-broker agreement cannot be performed, novated, assigned, executed. I want to say novated. Incorrect. Assigned. An exclusive buyer-broker agreement is like a listing. It's a service agreement and cannot be assigned. All right, guys. I'm not doing too hot, but we're learning. Kind of makes sense. You can't assign it to someone else. That's yours. What is impossible for a listing agent to do? Question number 19. Be a dual agent. Represent buyer and seller. Represent the seller only. Represent a buyer only. The listing agent should not represent a buyer only, I think. Correct. I got one. When an agent takes a listing, they agree to represent the seller. The agent may be a dual agent, or the buyer could be just a consumer. The listing agent cannot abandon the seller and just represent the buyer. So if you have a listing and you want to sell the house, and then someone comes in, they want to buy it, don't abandon the seller, or try to do dual agency, but don't abandon the seller to take the buyer. All right, last question. Question 20, what would one call a selling agent who is not the listing agent? Universal agent, seller's agent, general agent, cooperating agent. I want to say cooperating agent. Correct. The broker that takes the listing is called the listing broker. The seller broker is the cooperating agent. All right, let's see how we did. It's not going to be good. 8 out of 20. We missed 12. All right, we got to study these laws of agency. Usually what we do when we miss these, we'll write these on a piece of paper, write them all down, get the definitions, get the questions right. There's science behind writing it down. Got to lock it in the brain. I suggest you guys write them down. Pause the video, skip ahead, whatever you need to do. Let's get back in the lab. All right, we're back in the lab. We only got 8 out of 20 correct, but that's why there's another video. So go to the next video, subscribe to the channel. We have so much more content coming for you. Vocab words, real estate test questions, real estate concepts. I will be taking the real estate practice exam, 150 questions live on stream. Subscribe. You can see the live. You can go back and watch it, get all the questions. Thanks for watching. See you guys on the next video.